Imagine if someone told you that the voice inside your head, the one that keeps replaying mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios, and questioning every decision, isn't actually trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. Yet somehow, the harder it works to keep you safe, the more anxious, exhausted, and disconnected you become. This is the quiet trap that millions of people live with every single day without ever realizing it. Overthinking doesn't begin because you're weak, broken, or incapable of handling life. It begins because your mind is constantly searching for answers to questions that often have no perfect answer. It wants certainty about the future, guarantees about relationships, and complete control over things that were never meant to be controlled. The cruel irony is that the more desperately you chase certainty, the further peace slips away. Your thoughts multiply, your fears grow louder, and the silence you long for feels impossible to reach. What makes this even more fascinating is that Buddhist wisdom understood this struggle more than 25 centuries ago. Long before scientists studied the anxious brain, Buddhist masters discovered something profound. You don't suffer because you have thoughts. You suffer because you've been taught to believe every thought deserves your attention. That single misunderstanding has kept countless people trapped in cycles of worry for years. Today, you're about to learn 6 timeless Buddhist teachings that have helped people transform their relationship with fear, uncertainty, and the restless mind. These lessons won't promise a magical way to stop thinking forever. Instead, they'll reveal something far more powerful, a way to remain peaceful even when thoughts continue to come and go. And whatever you do, don't skip the 6th teaching. It challenges one of the deepest beliefs most people hold about their minds, and for many, it's the moment everything finally begins to make sense. Lesson 1: Your thoughts are not your identity. Have you ever noticed how one small thought can completely change your mood? You wake up feeling fine, and then your mind whispers, "What if I fail tomorrow?" Suddenly, your heart beats a little faster. A few moments later, another thought appears. Maybe I said something embarrassing yesterday. Before you know it, you're replaying old conversations or imagining problems that haven't even happened. It feels so real that you forget one important truth: these are only thoughts, not reality. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is that your thoughts are not your identity. Thoughts come and go, just like clouds passing through the sky. Some are peaceful, some are frightening, and some make no sense at all. But just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't mean it defines who you are. The problem begins when you believe every thought without questioning it. When the mind says, "I'm not good enough," you accept it as truth. When it says, "Something terrible is about to happen," your body reacts as though the danger is already real. Imagine you're about to have an important conversation with your boss, a friend, or someone you deeply care about. Hours before it happens, your mind starts creating different scenarios. You imagine saying the wrong thing, being misunderstood, or facing rejection. By the time the conversation finally arrives, you've already exhausted yourself fighting situations that only existed in your imagination. And more often than not, the real conversation turns out to be far less dramatic than the one your mind created. Buddhist wisdom invites us to do something different. Instead of becoming every thought, simply observe it. Notice it, let it be, and watch it pass without holding on to it. When you become the observer instead of the prisoner of your mind, you begin to discover a quiet space within yourself, a place that remains calm even when thoughts come and go. That is where true peace begins. But this raises an important question. If thoughts themselves aren't the real problem, then why do they sometimes become so powerful? The answer may surprise you, and it's exactly what we'll explore in the next lesson. Lesson 2: The more you resist thoughts, the stronger they become. Have you ever tried to force yourself not to think about something? The moment you tell yourself, "Don't think about it," that very thought seems to grow even louder. It's like trying not to hear a loud noise while someone keeps pointing it out. The more you resist it, the more your attention stays locked on it. This is one of the greatest traps of the human mind. Many people believe that peace comes from eliminating every anxious thought. So they fight their minds every day. They argue with their fears, push away uncomfortable emotions, and desperately search for a way to make the thoughts disappear. But instead of finding peace, they become even more exhausted. Why? Because every battle tells the mind that the thought is important. And whatever the mind believes is important, it continues to bring back again and again. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to see thoughts like waves in the ocean. No one stands on the shore trying to stop the waves from rising. They know the waves will come, reach the shore, and gently return to the sea. Thoughts follow the same natural rhythm. Some are calm, others are intense, but none of them stay forever. The suffering begins only when we try to hold them back or force them away. This doesn't mean you surrender to your thoughts or believe everything they tell you. Acceptance is very different from surrender. Acceptance simply means acknowledging that a thought has appeared without immediately reacting to it. Instead of saying, "I must get rid of this thought," you quietly notice it and let it pass, just as you would watch a cloud drift across the sky. The less attention you feed it, the less power it has over you. Over time, you'll discover something remarkable. Thoughts that once controlled your emotions begin to lose their grip, not because you defeated them, but because you stopped giving them the struggle they needed to survive. But if we stop fighting our thoughts, what keeps creating so many of them in the first place? That's exactly what we'll uncover in the next lesson. Lesson 3: Attachment creates endless mental noise. If you've ever wondered why your mind keeps replaying the same situation over and over, the answer is often simpler than you think. It's not because your mind enjoys making you suffer, it's because it's desperately searching for certainty. It wants to know exactly what will happen, how people will respond, and how to avoid every possible mistake. But life has never offered those kinds of guarantees. Think about a relationship that truly matters to you. Maybe someone takes longer than usual to reply to your message. Within minutes, your mind begins creating stories. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? What if they're losing interest? Nothing has actually happened, yet you've already imagined several painful outcomes. The same thing happens before a job interview, an important presentation, or even after posting something on social media. We keep checking, replaying, and worrying because we're attached to a specific result. We want approval, success, certainty, or control, and when we can't get it, the mind refuses to let go. Buddhist wisdom teaches that this attachment is one of the deepest roots of suffering. The tighter we hold on to how life should unfold, the more anxious we become when reality doesn't follow our plans. This doesn't mean we should stop caring about our relationships, careers, or dreams. It simply means we should stop believing that our peace depends on controlling every outcome. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it as tightly as possible, the sand slips through your fingers. But when you hold it gently, it remains in your hand. Life works much the same way. The harder we try to control every detail, the more exhausted we become. But when we do our best and allow life to unfold naturally, we create space for peace instead of constant worry. Letting go of attachment isn't about becoming careless. It's about giving your full effort while accepting that not everything is within your control. Ironically, when you release the need for certainty, your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, and you begin responding to life with wisdom instead of fear. But even after we understand attachment, one daily habit quietly keeps overthinking alive without us even noticing. In the next lesson, we'll uncover what that habit is and why it steals so much of our peace. Lesson 4: Your mind lives everywhere except the present. Have you ever noticed something strange about overthinking? Your mind is almost never here. It's either replaying a moment that has already ended or rehearsing one that hasn't even begun. It jumps back to conversations you wish had gone differently, then races ahead to problems that may never happen. Meanwhile, the only moment you can actually live the present is quietly slipping away. This is one of the greatest illusions of the human mind. It convinces you that if you think long enough about the past, you'll somehow change it. Or if you worry enough about the future, you'll be prepared for everything. But has that ever truly happened? No amount of regret has rewritten yesterday, and no amount of worry has guaranteed tomorrow. Yet the mind keeps returning to these places because it believes the next thought will finally bring certainty. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us of a truth we often forget. Life is never happening in the past or the future. It is only happening now. The sound you're hearing, the breath you're taking, the ground beneath your feet, this is where your real life exists. The rest is memory or imagination. That doesn't mean you should never plan for tomorrow or reflect on yesterday. Both have their place. The problem begins when you start living there instead of simply visiting. A mind trapped in the past carries regret. A mind trapped in the future carries anxiety. But a mind rooted in the present discovers something both past and future can never offer peace. This is why mindfulness is such an important part of Buddhist practice. And despite what many people think, mindfulness isn't complicated. It isn't about emptying your mind or escaping reality. It's about returning your attention to what is happening right now. Feel your next breath as it enters and leaves your body. Notice the sensation of your feet touching the ground as you walk. Listen completely when someone speaks to you instead of preparing your reply. These small moments may seem ordinary, but they quietly train the mind to stop wandering and start living. The more often you return to the present, the less energy you give to endless stories about what was or what might be. You begin to realize that peace has never been hiding somewhere in the future. It has been waiting for you in this very moment all along. But being present calms the mind. Lasting peace requires changing something even deeper, and that's exactly what we'll discover in the next lesson. Lesson 5. You cannot control everything. And that is freedom what, if the very thing you've been chasing is the reason you can't find peace? Most people believe that if they could just predict every outcome, avoid every mistake, and prepare for every possibility, they would finally stop overthinking. But have you ever noticed that the more control you seek, the more anxious you become? It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. The mind craves certainty because certainty feels safe. It wants guarantees that your relationship will last, your career will succeed, your loved ones will always be healthy, and your future will unfold exactly as you planned. But life has never worked that way. No one can predict every conversation, every opportunity, or every challenge waiting around the corner. Yet the mind keeps exhausting itself trying to solve a puzzle that has no final answer. Buddhist wisdom teaches that one of life's deepest truths is impermanence. Everything changes. Seasons change. People change. Circumstances change. Even your happiest and most difficult moments eventually pass. We often resist this truth because change feels uncertain, but it's also what makes growth, healing, and new beginnings possible. Imagine if nothing ever changed you. You would never recover from pain, never learn from failure, and never become the person you're capable of being. This doesn't mean you should stop planning or stop caring about your future. Wisdom is not the absence of preparation, it's the absence of obsession. Do what you can with the information you have today, then allow tomorrow to arrive on its own. Real peace isn't found in predicting every possible outcome. It's found in trusting your ability to respond, whatever life brings. Here's a truth worth remembering. You don't need control over everything to handle what comes next. Most of the challenges you've survived were once uncertainties you thought you couldn't face. Yet somehow, you did. When you release the impossible burden of controlling life, you don't become weaker, you become lighter. And in that space, anxiety slowly begins to lose its grip. But this leads us to the final teaching, one that many people hear, yet very few truly understand. And once you understand it, you may never look at your mind the same way again. Lesson 6, Inner Peace, begins when you stop trying to win against your mind. What if everything you've been trying to do until now has been based on one misunderstanding? What if the goal was never to silence your mind? For years, many people believe that inner peace means reaching a point where no anxious thoughts appear, no worries arise, and the mind remains perfectly still all the time. But the harder they chase that ideal, the more frustrated they become. They start believing they're failing simply because their mind continues to think. Buddhist wisdom offers a completely different perspective. It doesn't ask you to destroy your thoughts. It asks you to stop fighting a battle that was never meant to be won. Think back to everything we've explored in this video. First, you discovered that your thoughts are not your identity. They are experiences passing through your awareness, not definitions of who you are. Then, you learned that resisting thoughts only gives them more strength, because whatever we fight, we continue to feed with our attention. You saw how attachment to certainty, approval, and control creates endless mental noise, and how living in imagined futures or rewritten pasts steals the only moment that truly belongs to you. Finally, you realize that life has never promised certainty, and that accepting change is not weakness, it is freedom. Now all of these lessons come together into one simple but life-changing truth. The problem has never been your thoughts. The problem has been your relationship with them. Imagine standing beneath a wide, open sky. Throughout the day, clouds drift overhead. Some are bright and beautiful, while others are dark and heavy with rain. But no matter what kind of cloud appears, the sky itself remains unchanged. It doesn't chase the white clouds or argue with the dark ones. It simply allows them to come and go. Your awareness is like that sky. Your thoughts are only the clouds. Some days your mind will produce hopeful thoughts. Other days, it will produce fear, doubt, regret, or anxiety. If you mistake yourself for every passing cloud, your emotions will constantly rise and fall with the changing weather. But when you remember that you are the sky, the quiet awareness, observing everything, you discover a peace that doesn't depend on having perfect thoughts. Or imagine sitting beside a peaceful river. Leaves float past on the surface of the water. You notice each one, but you don't jump into the river to chase it downstream. You simply watch it appear and then disappear. Thoughts can be treated the same way. You don't have to grab every thought, argue with it, or follow where it leads. You can notice it, acknowledge that it's there, and allow it to continue on its journey without climbing aboard. This is where so many people misunderstand mindfulness. They believe success means having fewer thoughts. But real mindfulness isn't measured by how quiet your mind becomes. It's measured by how quickly you stop believing every story your mind tells you. A peaceful person isn't someone whose mind never wanders. A peaceful person is someone who knows how to gently return without judging themselves every time it does. That is why inner peace isn't something you create, it's something you uncover. Beneath all the worrying, planning, resisting, and controlling, there has always been a calm part of you quietly watching it all. It has been there during your happiest moments and your hardest ones. It has never disappeared. It has only been hidden beneath the noise. So the next time your mind fills with anxious thoughts, don't ask yourself, how do I make this stop? Instead, ask a different question. Can I simply observe this thought without becoming it? That single shift changes everything. Because the moment you stop trying to win against your mind no longer has an opponent to fight. The struggle begins to dissolve, not because the thoughts have disappeared, but because you've stopped giving them the power to define your peace. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Freedom doesn't come when every thought is gone. Freedom comes when thoughts are free to come and go, while your inner peace quietly remains. That is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, and once you truly experience it, you'll realize that the calm you've been searching for was never somewhere outside of you. It has been within you all along, patiently waiting for you to stop fighting and simply come home. If you've stayed with me until this moment, take a deep breath and notice something. Your mind may still be producing thoughts. It may still be planning tomorrow, remembering yesterday, or quietly commenting on everything you've just heard. But perhaps, for the first time, you're beginning to see those thoughts differently, and sometimes that small shift is the beginning of a much greater transformation. The 6 teachings we've explored today were never meant to be 6 quick tips to stop overthinking. Together, they form a journey. First, you learnt that your thoughts are not your identity. Then, you discovered that fighting your thoughts only gives them more power. You saw how attachment to certainty and control creates endless mental noise, how living in the past or future steals the peace of the present, and why accepting life's uncertainty is not giving up, it's setting yourself free. Finally, you realized that true peace isn't found by winning a battle against your mind, but by changing your relationship with it. This is why Buddhist wisdom has endured for centuries. It doesn't promise that life will become perfect or that your mind will suddenly become silent forever. Instead, it offers something far more valuable, a different way of meeting your thoughts, your emotions, and the uncertainties of life. And that difference can quietly change everything. Remember, freedom from overthinking is not a single breakthrough. It's a practice. Some days you'll feel calm and clear. Other days, old patterns may return, and your mind will once again pull you into worry or self-doubt. When that happens, don't see it as failure. Simply notice what's happening. Take a slow breath and gently return to the present. Every time you do that, you're strengthening a habit that leads toward peace instead of fear. So today, I want to leave you with one simple practice. You don't need to meditate for hours or completely silence your mind. Just notice one thought. That's all. When a worried thought appears, don't chase it. Don't argue with it. Don't judge yourself for having it. Simply recognize it. Let it be there and watch it pass, just as you would watch a cloud drift across the sky. You may be surprised by how much lighter you feel when you stop treating every thought as a command that must be followed. And before you leave, I'd like you to sit with one final question. If every thought isn't truly you, then who is the one quietly observing them? Don't rush to answer it. Carry that question with you today. Reflect on it while you're walking, sitting quietly, or simply watching the world around you. Sometimes the deepest wisdom isn't found in finding an immediate answer, but in allowing the question itself to gently transform the way you see your own mind. If this video brought you even a little more clarity or peace, I invite you to continue this journey with us. There is so much more to discover in the timeless teachings of Buddhist wisdom, and every lesson is another step toward a calmer, more mindful life. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 6 teachings spoke to your heart the most? Share it in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly the encouragement someone else needs to read today. Until our next journey together, take care of your mind, be patient with yourself, and remember this: you are not every thought that passes through your mind. You are the quiet awareness that remains when those thoughts have come and gone. Peace has never been as far away as it seemed. It has been within you all along.